Are you a real estate investor looking to start your first flip? Are you a passive investor looking for the next opportunity? Regardless of your situation, our mission is to help everyone work towards their unique version of financial freedom. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Conduit Capital Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Barreau, and over the past couple of episodes, we talked a lot about our borrowers and how we work as a lending company. And now for the next few episodes, I'm going to talk more about how we operate as a company focused more on the investor side, so on the complete opposite side of the borrowers. For those of you who don't know, our company Conduit Capital is structured as a fund. And that brings on the title of this episode, What is a Fund? Because I found that the definition of a fund can mean a lot of different things to different people. And I want to outline more things about how we are structured. And maybe this will spur some questions that you can ask other investment providers that are structured as funds so that you can better vet your investments in the future, or at least know some different questions that you can ask. So back to the title of the episode, What is a Fund? To keep it very, very simple, investors put money into a fund. The investment provider puts that money to work, and then at some point, hopefully you get your money back, whether that be in the form of returns and your principal being returned to you also, or maybe it's over a long period of time. So it's just the interest that you accrue and you don't get your principal back. We'll talk kind of more about your principal payment and the different structures that you can see there. That's basically how a fund works. Funds are in many different industries also. So how that money is put to work varies greatly depending on the type of people that you plan on working with. For our fund, to kind of give an example, we raise money from private investors, and then we deploy those funds with real estate investors who are flipping homes or growing their rental portfolio. Our borrowers pay us monthly interest payments, and then we pay monthly interest payments to our investors on the 15th of every month. Then when our investors need their funds back, they can withdraw from our fund and they end up receiving their whole principal back, in addition to all of the interest that they've been paid over the time that they've been in the fund. And I'll get more into specifics as we cover certain bits of terminology and pieces of how our fund is structured. But another option in our fund also, instead of receiving monthly interest payments, is that our investors can have their principal accrue interest monthly and compound that. So keep continually reinvesting that interest. As of February 2024, this is currently what we're offering our investors. However, I can't guarantee that we will offer this forever. So if you're interested in learning more about our fund, I highly encourage you to reach out to me or to fill out a form on our website so that we can reach out to you and give you that information you need if you're looking for some more investments to fill your portfolio. Over the next few videos, I'm really just going to be going over some general terminology relating to funds and also using our fund as an example to help explain those further. When you're vetting a new investment as a prospective investor, there are a lot of important questions to ask, and there are a lot of important things that you need to consider before you move forward. At Conduit Capital, we view the funds from our investors as their hard-earned money, and we are the stewards of those funds as we deploy them out with our network of real estate investors and borrowers. So we take it very seriously, educating our investors before they invest with us to make sure that it's a good fit for them, but also that it's a good fit for us. And going off of that, when investing in funds are really like snowflakes. I know it's kind of a cliche comparison, but no two funds are the same. And even if you have two funds that operate in the same industry, for example, real estate, those funds can be set up in completely different ways and offer completely different returns. So it's important that you know what sort of fund you're getting into, even if it's in the same industry, is something you're also investing in. I hope to invite some more guests on the show that operate different funds from ours so you can kind of see the difference. As many of you know, there are a wide range of things that you can do and invest in real estate, and there are funds for just about all of those things as well. So it's really interesting to see kind of the different cool things that people are doing out there. And as an investor, you want to know, what the structure, what the foundation of the fund is before you get involved. We're a part of an investment group, Conduit Capital, that does a really great job of educating their clients. And one of the things they talk about is the different buckets that you have money allocated in your portfolio as an investor. Maybe you have a retirement bucket where you put where you contribute funds for your IRAs, 401ks, HSAs, Roth IRAs, things like that. Then maybe you have another bucket that's focused on real estate. So maybe you have some single family rentals that you own. Maybe you're a private lender. Maybe you contribute to our fund that's kind of like a private lending investment. Or maybe you buy land, but you basically have a bucket dedicated to real estate. Then maybe you have a precious metals bucket where you contribute funds to buy gold and silver and platinum and things like that. And some investors also like to have an experimental bucket where they have high risk investments that may yield a high return, but there's a lot more at risk. Things like venture capital or different sort of startup companies, being an angel investor, things like that. And the reason I mention these buckets is, one, I think it's a great thing for investors to consider, whether you're just starting out or whether you're an established professional with a lot of money out there working. Cater your buckets to your goals, and a lot of that starts with defining what your goals are. And the reason I mention these buckets specifically is because most people may have a real estate bucket, but what they don't realize is that there's a wide range of real estate investments, and just because they operate in the same industry does not mean they're the same. To go further, even if you invest in two real estate funds, so two funds that have the purpose of making real estate investments, those funds could do completely different things. They could be structured completely different, and they could offer different returns. So it's really important that you look not just from a 5,000 foot view at the industry that you're investing in, but what are you investing within that industry, because that can vary. And also maybe you found out just because it's invested in real estate, it doesn't really fit your risk tolerance, or maybe it's more risky than you thought, despite it being in a sound industry like real estate. Some people think it's sound, others don't. Obviously that's up for debate. But you want to make sure that you're really looking into the investment so you can ensure that it's fitting your goals. You don't want to just do it because everyone else is doing it. And you also don't want to do it because you think it's just a stable, very simple investment. And finally, kind of the overarching point of knowing what a fund is reading the paperwork that you sign. Most funds have private placement memorandums that you sign, subscription agreements, qualification profiles, things like that. All of that is absolutely worth reading, so that you know what you're getting involved in. And then while you're reading your paperwork, if questions come up, you need to ask your investment provider immediately. And get answers to those questions. You shouldn't worry about looking stupid, asking questions, even if it's something simple, to get their take on it and to know their definition of it and how it applies to this investment is very important. As an investor, I would much rather look stupid than end up investing in something that I didn't understand. So keep that in mind when you're looking at new investments. And if you get in contact with an investment provider, you ask them a question and they make you feel foolish for asking it, then that's probably not the investment provider you want to move forward with. So just a heads up as you're expanding your network and looking for new connections. At Conduit Capital, we love answering questions. I try to make myself as available as possible to my investors via text message sometimes, emails, phone calls, to answer any questions that come up, or even just to provide updates when they request them, which I'll get more into updates and communication later on. This was meant to be a very basic overview of what a fund is, and we'll get into some more fun stuff later on how funds can be structured, how Conduit Capital is structured, and what that means for the investor. So that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. We love the interaction from you guys online. Give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. and look forward to the next episode. Until then, I'll see ya. This has been the Conduit Capital Podcast, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to stay up to date with all of our latest content, please follow us on social media. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Conduit Capital Podcast. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to send us a message, leave a comment, or share your thoughts with us.